I'll tell you, it's a funny night vision story. I drive around blacked out. I was on a private ranch, private roads, not public roadways. This was so long ago I was in my Land Cruiser. Driving along, night vision, no thermal, pre-thermal. I'm looking, like, something in the road in front of me. Look, like, looks like a girl. And she's walking right down the middle of the road. That Land Cruiser is pretty quiet, so I'm creeping up behind, looking. It's a girl with long blonde hair down past her bottom, and I'm like, what in the hell? I'm on this big ranch, there's nobody that lives out here.
Kind of spooky.
And so she's not reacting at all. I'm right behind her. Truck's running. I'm driving at her speed. Finally, okay, here we go. I'm kind of, this is weird. So I get up and I go beside her, and she's on the passenger side. I get her right by the window. Windows are down. I'm looking at her. Of course, I got this helmet on. I'm totally blacked out. And she's walking. She doesn't panic. She just looks straight ahead. And now I'm freaked out.
Yeah.
And I wasn't even thinking about this poor woman. Yeah. She's like, what in the hell is going on? But she was scared out of her mind. What had happened, she'd gotten in a fight with her boyfriend. It was a young girl, maybe early 20s. And he had just dumped her out in the middle of nowhere. And she didn't know where she was. Didn't have a cell phone. Didn't have anything.
Wow.
And I'm riding along looking at her with night vision. And
she's thinking this is her worst nightmare.
right? I don't know how she did it. It had to be just like totally frozen with fear, because I would have just either looked or I would have bolted. She didn't do it. And finally, I realized what I'm doing. I'm like, oh no. I turned everything off, turned my lights on. I said, ma'am, are you okay? And she started crying. And I ended up taking her to her house. But it was one of those, for a minute there, I'm like, I finally saw a ghost.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what I was thinking. We are back here on Thermal Thugs Podcast, episode 4, and we have a very, very, very special guest. Of course, we have Chris Wisecarver, founder, Wave Fusion Thermal, and our special guest, the one and only Mr. Todd Huey, Lone Star Boars.
All right.
Huey Outdoors. We finally got him down here.
We did.
What do you think so far, man?
Oh, it's awesome, man.
It's been something they're making.
Good time. I wish, the humidity's been great because the pigs are popping out babies like crazy, but I'm ready for some nice weather for these thermals to look as awesome as they should look.
What, you don't like the heat and the mosquitoes?
Heat and mosquitoes.
The mosquitoes don't bother. They don't like me. I got, I think, bit twice last night, but as long as y'all are around me, then they're going to go to you. But the heat, the older I get, the only good thing about heat is the women wear less clothes. Other than that, I'll take the cold any day of the week.
I like it. So you rolled in hot yesterday from Dallas. I know you've been on the road, back at it, hunting, filming, making content, which we all love and love to watch. So you rolled in yesterday, met me at the ranch shooting range, and we sighted in a Wave thermal on your 308 Noveski. And it was peak 98 degrees. But we got it done. And then
facing into the sun.
From there, we went and got filled up on pasta and then decided to go hunt all night.
Well, we made it about half the night.
Yeah, half the night. Yeah, that was actually an early night for you. We got in about 2:30.
We didn't see the sunrise.
Yeah, didn't see the sunrise. It's been a while.
Yeah.
So, so behind the Wave, man, what did you think last night? I know the humidity was up there, but overall, first impressions?
For high humidity at work, I don't think those were rice fields we hit last night, but there was water standing everywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, you could see the humidity, but it's gonna mess up almost anything at that. But yeah, and I was using the
Tempest.
It's the Tempest, but it's the 660 with the two lenses.
Dual lens.
So I think we're going out back tonight, right?
Yep.
So
Right.
I'm going to do the 650 tonight because I think anytime when you have those two lenses like that, I think in the wintertime, you're not going to notice it, but in that high humidity, I think there's a little bit more pixely. But, here everything's wide. I'm used to hunting where I might have wide and close, and being able to switch to 1X like that is a huge advantage. But from what I've seen, except for the little jungle trip we took,
Oh man.
that 1X would have come.
Tarzan.
I switched to 1X when that big boar walked within like 3 feet of us, or
Yeah.
sow, or whatever it was. But and that's exactly where that would come in handy, because if you're at 3.4X, as close as that pig was, I mean,
Yep.
all you're going to see is hot. You
Sure.
just shoot. I mean, I guess you
Blob.
just shoot in the middle, but that kind of situation, that 1X would. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think y'all's the only one that actually does 1X to it. I think there's only one other competitor, and it does 2X, which is still, it's a wide field of view, but up that kind of close.
Yeah.
And then that Tempest does 1X to 3.4. So you actually get a wider. To me, that's more functional, because I do that. I've had that Tempest for a little bit. I use it on the
Running
if, you,
gun,
if
right?
you've seen the buggy,
Yeah.
the buggy stuff, and it's perfect for that, because mostly we're up close. But if they get outside the lights, I have that 1X where I'm ready to go.
Yep.
And then all I did is flip it over if they're farther out. But it's worked. It's worked great for that, and I've been using it in that situation. It's on my buggy gun. That's why I was shooting 5.56, because normally I'll shoot 308.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to switch to 308 tonight, just because these open fields, and these pigs seem to be pretty good size out here.
Yeah.
I was kind of surprised to see the 5.56 caliber, but man, it's we all started using it years ago when that was the round, and man, it kind of makes me want to go sight in my 5.56 and start using it.
But I've had good luck with it. The last 2 trips, I don't know what's going on. I'm getting a lot of hits and not going down. It's obviously no 308.
Yeah.
But I mean, I've had that happen with 308 before too. So unless I have like several weeks here where it's just not working, but I don't know. I've had very good success with that bullet. I've used a lot of 5.56 bullets that haven't performed as well.
So speaking of, everybody, I'm sure wants to know what size bullet you're using in the 5.56. Tell us about the round.
So the one I've been using lately, I did a couple videos on it, but and I'm not sponsored by them or anything. It's just the AAC 75 grain saber blade black tip. I don't know, just from what I've read on. Apparently those are Hornady bullets, which I love Hornady bullets anyways. So I can't confirm that. I haven't talked to them, but I've had good performance. As long as they're coming straight at me, or side shot, great. They're running away, any kind of angled, I mean, it's still 5.56. It's not performing as well. So hopefully it's just been a fluke thing for the last few times. I've also, who was it? Angel with us last night, asked me if I'd had any problems with it. And I've done several thousand rounds, and apparently some people are saying there's quality control issues.
Okay.
I do not know. I have not had any issues with it yet. Tonight my gun may blow up, but so far, several thousand rounds into it, and no issues. But it's been really good performance, and I've tried almost everything in 5.56, and for me it's worked the best out of everything I've tried so far.
Well,
and it's cheap, 60 cents a round, which,
there you go.
60 cents to me does not sound cheap, but in this time and day, that's pretty cheap.
Yeah. I was next to you in the shooting line, and there was a couple of times where I pulled on the pig after they started running, and you were mowing them over, man. Before I could pull the trigger, they were
you could. I mean, the evidence in the field last night was
that
pretty
first
clear.
group, 15.
These big, well, I'm not used to, most of the places I go, I hunt over and over and over again.
Yeah.
So I don't have these fields. I mean, they're big, huge fields out here. And I think obviously the one where it was sitting still, but my first few shots, they were a little bit farther out than what I think. So I was hitting them in the ass.
Yeah.
Or even hitting behind them my first few shots, but we got it dialed in there a little bit. But I think just everybody was hitting pretty much everything, because every time somebody fired, I thought I heard a thump.
Yeah, well, there was a few sows in that first group, man, that were ginormous. I mean, 250 to 280 that were just soaking up some leads.
Well, the guy
Logan,
Logan. So he and I apparently both, and who knows who else, but the big one in the center.
Yeah.
So I figured people on the edges, we were in the middle, so went for apparently we picked the same one, and I don't think he missed, and I don't think, I mean, I could have missed, but I saw it cinch up, but didn't even phase it. It just took off. So, but it was out in the field dead. So either somebody picked it up, or she ran out of hydraulic fluid.
Yeah,
but
we had fun. It was fun.
Oh yeah, it was good hunt.
Yeah, back it up a little bit for the people that are watching that don't know, and I know a lot of people do know. Lone Star Boars, like, just tell us how. I mean, I can remember a decade ago where I was watching your content, following you, and doing a lot of things
Yeah,
in the
certainly
field.
one of the pioneers.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
the hog father.
Yeah.
Hog
well,
lot.
yeah, that was who came up with that? That was oh hell, they're gonna be mad. Goblin Tactical
Okay, yeah,
came out.
Yep.
He actually sent me. He made T-shirts and sent them to
Yep.
me, or somehow I have T-shirts with it made. But he came up with that, and it kind of stuck for a little bit. I don't know if it's around as much as it used to be, but it's pretty funny. I thought about doing a thing where I do Hogfather approved, or what was it from the movie where you know, he came and yeah, it's been so long since but he had that saying, and I was gonna maybe do something like that.
yeah.
Videos,
Give it your
for-
blessing.
Yeah, give it my blessing.
Hopefully, you'll give our thermal your blessing.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. Well, hell, I got it in my store. I wouldn't have it in my store
Right,
if I
yeah.
didn't. If I don't like something, I'm not going to put it in the store.
And I
So,
think that's why a lot of people gravitate towards you, because you're a no BS kind of guy. If it works, it works. If it's great, it's great. If it's crap, it's crap. You know.
hell, there's
So-
even some good stuff that works good that I don't carry just because I don't like dealing with
Sure.
I mean, either the customer service or
Yeah.
how they treat
That's
their
important.
dealers, and you know, these are even the prices significantly drop for a lot of them, but even the cheapest of the cheap is not cheap with
Yeah.
this stuff. And if you're going to spend that kind of money, you know, I wouldn't want, you know,
Sure.
you know, I want somebody to take care of me and know that it's gonna, you know, what sucks is, you know, I'm sure y'all hear this too, as a lot of guys, I mean, we do it all the time.
Yeah.
A lot of guys let it sit in the safe until the day before their hunt, and then they call, and that's kind of hard to take care of. But you know, you want good backing from your company. So, but yeah, you know, if I have trouble with a company, I just stop doing it. Or my customers start having a lot of trouble, then I won't. But you know, I hadn't run into that. Y'all seem to be
Yep.
good to
Well,
go.
I know Chris is honored to have you on board as one of our dealers, and
Absolutely.
it wasn't easy to get you on board, but we got you on board.
It's okay.
So
You know,
yeah,
everything in time, right?
yeah, that's right. Everything in due time.
And really appreciate you coming out, because we got a chance to go on a great hunt last night.
Oh yeah.
And see the products in action, and see you in action, and see you and Angel rib each other. So
Oh man, that was the highlight of the night. Him and Angel going back and forth.
Well, you know,
good fun.
he needs it every once in a while.
He does. He doesn't have anybody down here to rib him like that.
Well,
so.
he's just such a nice guy. And it's like I see everybody just be so nice to him. I'm like, you know, this is not right. This is not the real world. Somebody needs to teach him, you know, that sometimes there's a little bit of ribbon involved.
Yep. So
But he's tired, you know. He was going, I think he worked all day.
yep.
He worked all day today, and apparently he's going to show back up tonight.
Yep.
It should be even more entertaining tonight. If he doesn't drive
Runs
us
the
to-
store and then paints and then goes out and kills hogs.
And, yeah.
Yeah. So
He's got to be one of the nicest guys in the industry. Though.
he is. There are a lot of people like him. So I've known him for quite some time, and he's a good dude. So
I just barely, if I remember right, you know, in the last year met him.
mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep.
So he just kind of popped out of nowhere for me.
So Lone Star Boars, backing up, it started out as kind of like a forum, right? As I remember, or like a group member, like on the internet.
Yeah. It was so there was another forum that I was a member of, and this was just my hobby.
Yeah.
I had a full-time job, and this was, you know, just when we started, it was all daytime.
Yeah.
And it was, at least when I started, hogs were just everywhere. It wasn't like it is now. Everybody wasn't blasting them. It hadn't become a thing yet.
Yeah.
And I did coyotes. Coyotes were my specialty. I've always done kind of pest control stuff. And then my friend has a ranch out in East Texas, and he just kept telling me, I'm getting torn up. I didn't know any better. You know,
Yeah.
I go out thinking we're going to shoot. I showed up with, well, at that time, I didn't know what I was doing. I got on this other forum to learn, you know, like everybody else.
Sure.
I've hunted, but, and you know, oh, they're big and bad. So I went and bought a Marlin guide gun, 4570, got 405 grain slugs, because everybody says, you know, these things are terrible. 5 shots. And it worked. I mean, it knocked them down. But when you got 5 shots and there's 20 pigs or 30 pigs running around, you know, it's a little bit trying to knock them all down. But we started that way. And then, man, I loved that forum that I was on. And the guy, he did something, he got political, or anyways, it basically collapsed.
Yeah. I remember that.
And what I saw happening, I didn't care about any of that. I just didn't want to lose all the contacts. 'Cause, I mean, it sounds funny. I guess it's more common these days, but back then it's kind of funny because you're talking to all these people you've never met.
Right.
And then you meet one of them and you're going out. Like I'd take them out to my in-laws' place. My phone. Well, how do you know this guy? Well, we've been talking on the internet for.
Right.
Now, when you say it out loud, it sounds kind of weird, but I guess it's more common now. But so I started Lone Star Boars just to try to keep that group together, and it worked. And then I always wanted night vision. My wife bought me my first PVS 14, and that's what. And when I got out there at night, for me, I was. For me, it was peaceful. I know a lot of people like to get their friends together.
Right.
For me, I like to go out there by myself,
Right.
look at the stars. Even if I'm not killing pigs, it's just peaceful for me.
Yep.
So that's kind of how it started. And then when the thermals came out, I didn't know anything about social media. I didn't even text. My wife had to make me switch from a flip phone because I'm like, I don't need this. I don't do social media.
Yeah.
And when I got the first thermal, which was that W1000, which was the size of a VHS camera.
Yeah.
But at the time was really, I mean, it actually still looks good today for a 320 unit.
Right.
I was able to record. I'm like, what am I going to do with this stuff? Because in those forums, you always put pictures and you'd write a big story up, and it wasn't video at all, or at least not for me. And I think YouTube was a pretty new thing at that point in time.
Yeah. Very fresh.
And I'm like, it was the only way I could find to share on the forums. And so that's where it came from. And then my wife got pregnant, and she was like, I've supported your hobby all these years. Companies had been contacting me
Right.
for a while, and I had no interest in it. I didn't care. I just wanted to go out, kill pigs, and play.
Right.
And she saw, obviously, being there in the house with me, she saw these companies, and at that time, there were sponsorships and everything. Use our product, and so she kind of forced me into it. She's like, I'm pregnant. We're fixing to have a baby, and you either need to start working more hours and overtime at work, which I didn't want to do, or you need to start answering some of these things. So that kind of is what turned it into a business and really got it. But the introduction of thermal, being able to videotape, is where Lone Star Boars, YouTube, and the social media really came from. And the rest is kind of just history.
So how long ago was that? When did you do your first video?
Well, my first videos, we talked about it yesterday, wasn't even Lone Star Boars. It was Minute of Pig Productions, MOP Productions.
MOP.
And I actually found that channel the other day, and it was like four, and they're terrible videos.
Yeah.
But I guess it's been 15 years.
Yeah, I was gonna say 2010.
Yeah.
50. I'd done it for maybe 5 years before that, but the actual turn it into Lone Star Boars and everything's probably about 15 years now.
That's about the time that I got into thermal, about 2010, and he was pretty much the only thing out there at the time, that was going out and killing stuff and putting the videos out.
Well, for some reason, it was taboo to do the kill shots,
Yeah.
and I didn't know that. I don't really watch movies. I don't watch TV. I don't watch sports.
Right.
I do my own thing. I just go out there. So I had no idea what I was doing was wrong, at least by their standards.
Right.
I was just doing it. And I was like, I don't understand why people aren't doing this. But, and it was really, it took off really good. But I got, before people even knew what ghost blocking was, I was ghost blocked almost instantly.
Yeah.
But again, they use that ghost block to demoralize these new guys. I mean, it's a lot of effort to film. I actually like photography. I like videography. So everything about it was fun for me. So it wasn't really work, which made it, I was just doing it to do it. If you're doing it trying to make something out, I see a lot of these guys that just get demoralized and quit, because when you put, you stay up all day and all night,
A lot of effort
2 or
into
3
it.
days, you video, then you got to come back and edit, even though, editing for this isn't as hard. My later videos now, I try to do intros, and I'm trying to do the vlogging style. So that takes some effort, but the actual thermal really isn't that much effort, because I always tried to just upload it as it actually looked, because I was trying to show people what it really looked like, not enhance it or anything.
Yeah.
So I had to just clip it. And then because of my previous line of work, I couldn't show my face. I couldn't do it. So I guess the first 2 years, nobody even knew what I looked like. They just heard my voice, and I would show the video, and then what I'd do is I'd narrate it. And that's how I started.
Yeah.
So
Those were the good old days.
the good old days.
Yeah.
You know. And then I started getting, the sponsorships and everything. They're like, you got to show your face. And I'm like, I got a radio face. I do not have a video face.
Yeah.
They're like, yeah, but you need to, your numbers are going up, we want people to see you. So then I became a selfie. I don't know what you call it, but one of those selfie people that
Right.
I'm always videoing myself and taking pictures. I've actually stepped back a little bit from it because it got, like last night, it's nice to stack up the pigs and take
Yeah.
a picture, but I've always been a numbers guy
Yeah.
and I don't even hardly do that anymore. I mean, in fact, I've gotten really lazy about that because I like photography.
Yeah.
I used to set up all the nice gear and I would take a time lapse, or not a time lapse, but a long exposure
Right.
picture, get the Milky Way in the background.
Right.
And then people would take a cell phone and take a picture and it'd be halfway blurry and it would get almost just as many views. And
Yeah.
it was disheartening for me. So I stopped trying and just,
Yeah. It's
now
like
I do
work.
everything on the phone.
After the kill, stacking up pigs.
Oh, that took,
It's work.
Yeah.
in these fields out here, it's kind of sandy here, loamy, and dragging them through that, even with the side by side.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I bet you it was an hour just to get it set up.
Thank God for Angel.
Angel loves his pictures.
He does. He takes it serious.
What was Santa Claus Outfitters?
Well, it sounded that's what he said, and I got to do it better tonight. I got to.
Yeah.
When I make the video of this,
Yeah.
I'll either write it because I'll write it and put it on a sheet and put the real name, or I'll text. He's kind of mad at me about that. Well, he's also mad at me. All those pictures he was taking last night.
Yeah.
He takes the long exposure.
Yeah. And you were turning your laser on?
Well, no, I shaking my head. So I purposely, half of the videos I move my head like this.
Yeah.
And so he sent me all the pictures with my face is blurry today, and he's pissed. But half of them I didn't. So he got good ones.
Yeah.
But he was going through because I kept telling him they're blurry. He's like, no, they're not. When he looked, every one, my face is blurry, but everything else is perfect. He knows I did it on purpose. So
Right.
he's probably got something in store for me tonight that I ought to be
bet.
watching out for.
He's plotting right now. So the success you had with Star Boars and everybody watched you evolve into this guy that, everybody was following and trusting and liked. And how did you, what clicked and said, hey, maybe it was after your law enforcement retirement that said, I could monetize this, and maybe because you were pushing a lot of scopes for a lot of different dealers, making them,
Well, I wasn't, again, I was doing it because I like it.
right.
And I wasn't thinking of it as a monetary. My wife forced me into the business part of it because not because she's being whatever,
Yeah.
but because she saw the potential and she knew I could do it.
Yeah.
But she also knew that I didn't care. And I had a family and stuff to take care of. But I just had no interest in that. And then the other thing, once I started doing it and I was having sponsorships, it was great as long as the person that was sponsoring you was the top of the line gear.
Yeah.
Well, what I started running to the problem was, it started out like with Raytheon was king for a while, then Fleer was king for a while, then Armistice, and it goes through.
Yeah.
Well, then somebody else may come out with something better. Now I'm tied to this one.
Sure.
And I had a problem with saying this was number one when it was number one for
Right.
a long time, but then it switched. And it's kind of off topic, but my friend Dave owns Silencer Shop. And he asked me, we were just friends hunting and stuff. And we came up with an idea for his company, and I started working with him, and he let me use all the different
Yeah.
brands. And if I didn't like a suppressor and he thought it was the best suppressor ever, he said, you say it sucks. Now I'll come out and say, I don't agree with Todd, but Todd has his opinion, but we value his opinion, but we think it's this. And it was a great idea. So I started looking to get away from manufacturers and work with a dealer somewhere. And I started working with a dealer. It didn't last very long. There was problems.
Yeah.
And again, my wife's like, why don't you do this? And I thought, well, I built up this reputation where people trust me. And I've never been a salesman, not sales. I don't want people not to trust me because they think I'm trying to sell them something. And in my mind, it was that used car salesman. And then I lose all credibility.
Sure.
Because now I'm selling the product and you're just doing this. But I should have done it years ago because I basically lived paycheck to paycheck, and now I live pretty comfortably. It's been very successful for me for the most part, and should have done it years ago. But you don't know. I had the same job. I graduated high school, and I worked there and never left and didn't know anything else. So, what do you do? But that's basically how it came in. Is I was working for these other dealerships, and I realized that I was the one that was selling the product for them,
Yeah.
and I'm like, well, I could do this, and it took a significant investment. I mean, my whole entire life savings, my whole wife's life savings. It was kind of edgy there for a minute because I quit my career and all that other stuff, and so, but it ended up working out for me, and I like it now. I mean, I enjoy it. People call me all the time, and
Yeah, your phone's been blowing up ever since you got
well,
here with customers and
and I like to talk.
yeah.
Y'all found that out. I mean, as I was telling the story, my wife, the only way she knows that something's wrong is if
Yeah.
I'm not talking, and then she knows I'm pissed off about something. So
Chris and I are very impressed with how accessible you are and how you do take the time, as a manufacturer and someone that deals our product, for you to actually, answer the phone. I think the only time you did not answer is when we're like right in the middle of lunch. And
yeah, I
I don't,
turned it where it goes to
yeah,
voicemail because well, there's only a few times. I mean, if I've had some medical issues, so when I'm having surgery and stuff like that, I
yeah,
can't answer the phone. Or the way it works for me is they call my office. I have an app that goes to my cell phone.
yeah,
Some of these I'm always out hunting because I still work. I still work all these ranches and stuff like that. Sometimes there's no cell signal. Now, when I'm camping, I have a Starlink, so when I'm at my base camp, it works. But I have on my voicemail, hey, look, I'm either on the phone with another customer or I have no cell signal. That's the only time I
yeah.
don't answer the phone. Leave a message, because if you don't leave a message, I won't know that you called, because that app is kind of wonky. But it's worked out very well.
And I think you get customer calls. They're not your customer, but you get a lot of calls, people asking advice.
Well, they watch the
Yeah.
videos, and then they have problems with a scope, and they'll call, and whoever they bought it from, well, these big box stores, their
Sure.
employees there, they don't get
Yeah.
to use them,
Right.
and they call up, and they were looking at a screen. Oh yeah, it's 640, and it does. Well, no, well, I have, and they don't know what's a nuke, or
Yeah.
or what's this, and so they'll call me. And my wife, she's like, why are you talking? But when I help those people, then they realize the next time they need to buy a thermal,
Sure.
I'll answer. We were talking about earlier. I'll answer the phone, unless I'm asleep and don't hear it. I'll answer the phone midnight on Christmas Eve, and I've done that. And people are like, "Oh, I can't believe you answered the phone," because they're out hunting and trying to figure out their product. So
Yep.
that's just, but that's part of it. I mean,
So I want to kind of dig into that just a little bit. When somebody calls you, what's the impression that you want them to walk away with? What is the thing that separates what you offer from all the other competitors out there?
I mean, the only, my experience and use, which there's more and more now that are getting out, but most don't actually get out and hunt. At least they may get out and hunt, but we're talking about maybe,
Very minimal.
yeah,
Right.
where I'm out there 3 or 4 days a week. I'm out there using and using all the different, which is not really, people think it's so cool because I have 10 different rifles in the back seat with 10 different scopes and 10 different calibers. Well, that's another thing. When I started, it wasn't, the first few business things were not even thermal and night vision. The companies contacted me to test bullets on pigs.
Yeah.
So I was testing new calibers, and what would happen, this was pre-video. I forgot about that. They were paying me a new caliber, a new bullet. I'd go out and shoot a bunch of pigs and basically do an autopsy and write a report up and say, hey, this is how it performed.
Yeah.
So, I always have different calibers, and trying to go from a 3.4 scope to a 2X scope, from a 600 grain bullet that's going 1,000 feet per second to a 55 grain bullet's going 3,000 feet per second. My brain is trying to calculate how to do the lead and everything. So it's not, I would be way more effective if I used one rifle. Like when I shot 6.8 for years, I was deadly with that thing because I knew even if I switched up the scopes, I shot the same caliber
Yeah.
over and over. And that just doesn't happen as much, unfortunately, because now it's cool to get to play with everything, but I'm not near the shot that I used to be. For a while, I was pretty deadly with it.
Yeah.
And I'm okay now, but that's what really got, at least in my opinion, I don't know, just from my point of view, that's what made me take off was because I was able to hit my target, more often than not. And it might have been something totally different because a lot of times I'll do a video that I think, man, this thing's going to explode. And in my mind's eye, it's awesome. And that one always does terrible. And the one that I think this is stupid, but I got to do it, that one takes off.
Yeah.
So people may see something totally different. So I don't know what the general public's opinion but in my opinion, that's what made me shine was I was able to those running shots just clicked for me.
Yeah, most of these other dealers rely on user content and have a big pro staff. And
Right.
how many people do you have on your pro staff at Huey Outdoors?
Me. Well, my son,
Yeah,
my 9-year-old son,
Yeah.
I'm training him. He's actually, I think he's going to be a better shot than me, man. That dude is pretty.
He's probably had a rifle in his hand for quite some time. I know.
Well, the day he was born, he received from one of my sponsors an MP5.
Yeah.
So the day he was born, he has an MP5 waiting in the safe for him.
There you go. That's awesome.
Yeah. So he's never shot it yet. He don't even know he has. He's got a lot of stuff he don't know that he has. In fact,
Yeah.
I have all that stuff you ever see me use. I don't want him to sell it.
Yeah.
And who knows? My brother, he doesn't shoot at all. He could care less. He's a car guy.
Okay.
Engines, cars, shooting doesn't. I was kind of worried about that because I have some pretty unique stuff. I have like serial number 1, prototype this from stuff that people never even saw that at some point it's probably going to be worth money.
Right.
And they may be pissed at me someday, but I put it in a trust fund where it's going to them, but they can't sell it. So
Yep.
we'll see when they find that out, they might not be happy, but I think my boy will be all right with it.
Yeah. So where do you see yourself, a couple years from now? I mean, what do you think where's the industry going? I know you have a really good grasp on what's going on. And, at first, you were kind of against the whole foreign Chinese.
Well, I'm still totally against.
Well, I know that, but as far as like using a thermal that's actually made in China and how you came out, and kind of said, look, I've got to do this or.
Well, that was purely monetary.
Yeah.
And it makes sense. I mean, when it started out, they were junk and they were just a little bit cheaper.
Yeah. I agree with that
And
statement. 100%.
Then it got to where they might not have been as junky, but they were still just a little bit cheaper. And now we're at a stage where most of them are either there's a few that are even getting better or just as good or just a little bit less, but we're talking about thousands of dollars of difference.
Yeah.
And
price.
I mean, even it's hard even for somebody if I live paycheck to paycheck most of my life. Now I'm pretty stable. I could probably go out and get whatever I wanted, but it's still, when you look at performance wise, I like America. I'm not a fan of the Chinese. I think they're our number one geopolitical enemy in my mind.
Okay.
I'm still pissed off about COVID. Whatever you think, I think they launched that stuff on us. That's just my views. But when I can get a Storm 6 or whatever for basically $2,000 and the closest European or American is $5,000 or more, that's a significant difference. And the performance is still close enough. I mean, I understand why the average person is buying them now. And I kind of had to swallow my pride, and I wasn't a big fan of it, but it was sink or swim. If I didn't have kids and stuff, I probably would have just become a Walmart door greeter and been perfectly happy. But I got young kids that I gotta.
Man, I doubt it.
Well, I would have been all right with.
Yeah. Chris, your take on because I mean, coming from Todd, the explanation is awesome, but also as a manufacturer, because we Fusion,
Right.
European,
And
and now Wave.
Asian, Chinese built.
Can I say one more thing?
Sure.
So where I see it going, I think we're in artificially low prices right now. I think so. Like the windmills out here, they're subsidized by our government. They don't make money; they lose money.
Right.
We're subsidizing that with our tax dollars. I believe these thermals from China are subsidized. They're taking a loss. They have cheaper labor. They own most of the germanium. It is cheaper for them, but I think they're taking a loss on it. And I think they're trying to drive the European and American companies out of business, or at least where they don't do consumer sales and just do government sales. One way or another, I see in the next 3 years prices going back up to where they should be. Either the Chinese are going to run everybody out of business and then they raise the prices, and that's when they make their profit because they're the only game in town, or these tariffs hit them or they get banned, and then the prices are what they should be. But one way or another, I think we're in a little golden area right now where for the consumer, you're buying something for less than it costs the manufacturer to make.
Yeah. So in other words, if you think it's a grasp or a grab for these half a dozen manufacturers to grab market share right now and pulling out all the stops to do that.
Yeah, they're backed by their government, which our companies here are not, and so they can continuously sell at a loss. Where he can, he's got employees. He's not being helped by the government. He's not. How he's got to pay for research. This is just my opinion. I don't have facts, but I think the Chinese steal our research. We build it. They take it, they reverse engineer. They've come up with some cool things, I'm sure. But for the most part, we developed it and then they took it and then built it up. And they've gotten a lot better because we're buying the stuff like crazy. And their goal is, so if anybody's watched my videos, I use electric dirt bikes, electric bikes, because I don't care about, I don't want the environment to go, but I don't believe on this mumbo jumbo climate stuff, whatever. You believe whatever you want. I do it because they're effective. They're quiet. And I can sneak up on animals with them. And my first one was a brand called Suron. It's 4 or 5 years ago now. I think I paid $1,800, maybe $2,000 for it. The same exact bike today goes for $6,000. And we've had inflation, but why is it so expensive? Well, there used to be some competitors. They drove all the competitors out of business because of their pricing. And they kept it at that until everybody was gone. And now it's 3 times what it was because they can, if anybody steps into the market, which happened a couple of times since that, they run a sale until they pound them out. So what happened, there's other brands now, but they're all buying their parts from the Chinese. They're all using the Chinese parts and then putting them together and selling them as a brand. There's nobody else making it because you can't compete with a superpower government as just a, maybe Apple can because they're pretty huge, but as somebody in a niche market, it's very hard to compete with a superpower.
With the prices being lowered, though, there has been a lot of people enter the thermal game that weren't in it. It's kind of a household item now around these parts in South Texas.
Yeah, it's crazy how many people. What surprises me is I got guys that, and they'll come in, they'll buy 5 or 6 of them. I'm like, why do you need 5 or 6? Well, I want my buddies to hunt with me.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
buddy scope.
Yeah. And at these prices, my boy, he's 9. And I let him use a little bit of everything, but when it's just him, I let him run some of the cheaper stuff because I don't want him, he's still 9. He'll jump in a pond and forget it's in there trying to catch frogs.
All right.
Where's your helmet? Oh man. So it's not a big loss when you're talking about $1,000 versus $10,000.
We got some torture tests last night. Logan kind of forgot that he left his rig on the back of the buggy and
twice,
fell off on the gravel and pulled back up, and it was still on.
Well, hell, when he took us through the jungle, when I came out, my Tempest had vines and I had to pull stuff off of it just to but it took a beating. I fell, I think, in the creek.
That was a crazy stalk last night. I want to talk about that because it's been a while where I've went into a creek and lost both of my shoes in the mud, and I just looked down and I have nothing but white socks on. And then we spooked a few pigs, and they were literally on top of us.
Right. That one was 3 foot. That's what I was saying. Having that Tempest like that and being able to switch to 1X. Because as soon as I saw that, I'm like, he doesn't seem too scared, and he's grunting at us.
Yeah.
1X, we're ready to go.
It was about a 15-minute jungle stalk, and then we popped out on the, probably a 200-acre cut field with the pigs. And
well, it was pretty squishy out there too. And I think from what they were saying, all these used to be rice fields.
Yeah, they converted a lot of these fields that used to be rice.
Because I saw that even his side by side, man, it's so sandy. It was having, he was having to put it in low. Of course, we got some big old boys on there too. We're not the small.
Where do you think you got the name Sandy Creek Outfitters?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Santa Claus.
Santa Claus. Yeah. So that first stalk, there was some torture test, and my new Twisted X boots got torture tested and the scope and everything else.
They're still sitting out in the front, I think, in the sun, drying
They're
out.
drying out, so I can wear them tonight. So
That's
We
why you
caught
look so sad.
completely off guard. And that surprised me after the jungle stalk
yeah.
that we could come through all that brush and they didn't hear us. And
Yeah.
but
And then we passed up a huge pig. I don't know if it was a boar or sow. You know, we were stalking to the group, and it was probably 30, 40 yards, and we got video of that. Tony
Went
went
off
off
to
the
the
horizon,
left.
went off to the left.
He finally winded us once we
Yeah.
passed him. I was a little worried about him, you know, running into the group. But that would have
yeah.
been, I think, you know, he knew. He just went to cover.
And Tony, our producer and camera guy, got his first kill last night.
go Tony.
Yes, sir. Big old solo boar for
I
Tony.
got to go buy another case of ammo, but we still got it. Yeah.
Yeah, he ran the wrong direction though. So
Shoot him again.
anyway, we'll do it all again
Right in
tonight.
front of him.
So Chris, we were about to like your take on the fusion two wave, kind of a differentiate and kind of give us a quick story while we have Todd here on why you came out with the wave product.
Well, you know, I think that there's a market for really every customer, right?
Sure.
And you've got the younger demographic that is really price sensitive. They need a product that they can get into cheaply. If they're in their 20s and, you know, they don't have the career and the bank account yet. So you got to have something more affordable. And then, of course, the whole buddy scope thing, right? So adding that second scope or putting it on the second gun or on the 22. It's so there's definitely a market for it, but as the Fusion brand has shown, there's a different demographic, the more senior market where people prioritize simplicity more than anything else. They're not really interested in doing the Instagram, the Facebook video content. They just want to be able to pick it up, turn it on, and go shoot the pigs
Sure.
out of the field that are harassing their crops. The industry is definitely changing. You know, listening to Todd here, it's going to become very segmented, in my opinion. I think we're going to have the entry level, just like we do in daytime optics, where you've got your really inexpensive stuff and you've got your mid-price stuff, and then you got your higher end product, which I think is really good for the consumer. So if you're not sure that you're going to like this sport and you want to get into it without spending a whole ton of money, you can do it now and not spend $5,000, $6,000, $7,000, $9,000 anymore.
Yeah.
You can spend the $1,500, get a good scope, get out there and test it. But if you decide that you really like what's happening and you like the idea of going out and hunting coyotes or hunting pigs, then you can get as good a scope as you want. Actually, product that would just blow people's mind from 10 years ago.
Yeah.
The technology has increased so dramatically. I really think it's a great time. Now, there's one thing that I really want to touch on, and we talked about this earlier, all the Chinese stuff being flooded into Amazon, right? And people are buying the stuff on Amazon, having problems with it. And why don't you complete that thought?
Well, I hadn't had much experience with it. I'd had the one company, which I won't even mention the name, but I saw them and I had a few of my customers ask me to test them out. It didn't work out. Well, I was like, what do you want me to do with this equipment? They wanted me to send it back to China. And I was asking, well, apparently that's where all their returns, you as a customer send it back to China. Well, that's a huge ITAR violation. You're talking about, you know, penitentiary time.
Right. Yeah.
And I'm like, are you out of your mind? Which I knew. I don't know exactly how they're doing it with the customer, but apparently I don't know if Amazon's sending it back to China or they're having the customer send it back to China, but that's what's apparently going on right now. And you do definitely I wouldn't think Amazon would want to get tied up in that, and definitely not as an individual. You don't want that kind of problem. So if you did buy one off Amazon and they ask you to send it back to Hong Kong, politely decline.
Yeah, just so everybody watching, it is not okay to ship your scope back to Asia.
Yeah.
It's not any scope out of the United States. It can be Asian, it can be European, it could be whatever. Once it enters the US, it cannot leave again, at least not
Right.
you as an individual. Somebody has to have very specialized license to get that done.
Yeah. And I know some guys that had no idea that went on a hunt in South Africa or went across the border to Mexico to shoot whitetails. And they're like, oh, I'm going to take my thermal with me. And I'm like, not a good idea.
I've had that happen.
Yeah.
In fact, I used to take orders over the phone. I don't take orders over the phone for many reasons now. Everything goes through my website, but mostly is like when you check out, you get all the
Yeah.
ITAR stuff in fine print. But I had some customers, and I specifically talked to them about it. They told me what they wanted to do, and the country that they were going to, you can actually do it. You just have to call the State Department.
Right.
You get a permit, and then you bring it back, and they check it. Well, they didn't want to go through all that trouble, and they got caught, and they got fined, and they seized their stuff. Well, then they tried to put it on me that I didn't tell them, and I had no documentation. Now, fortunately, nothing happened to me, but from that point on,
Yeah.
I don't take all orders go where I can guarantee that you, by placing this order, you say you've read the fine print.
Right.
And then on my receipts, when you get it, it says it's an ITAR item, you can't possession, so it's covered in multiple ways.
And all indications are that the State Department is ramping up on this. Things are heating up with the cartels in Mexico.
Yep.
And the government does not want this technology leaving the country. It's not just, the Sudan and other hot places in the world, Yemen. It's Mexico. It's right on our doorstep.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want this technology leaving the country and getting in the hands of bad actors.
It's even since Ukraine, it's even worse, but it was before that. So I've actually today, I had 4 orders placed that are totally fraudulent that they're trying to get. Now I have a very effective fraud suite, and I have everything turned on. So most 99.9% get caught now. But when I very first started, I had some where people stole people's credit cards.
Yeah.
In fact, I had one, this is a very interesting story. I had one that was a federal agent, and she was working with the Russians, and she was buying scopes and having them shipped to her house from all different people. She was letting them use her identity, her address. So they got legitimate cards in her name, but since she didn't get the cards, once she got the product, she would do a chargeback, or not a chargeback. She would say it wasn't me that got the card.
Dispute.
And then you would have to dispute it. Well, they would call her and she would say, well, she really didn't sign up for the card, but she was getting paid. She would get it. She ended up, because of me, most people just wrote it off. I was very small, and that's each scope's a significant amount of money out of my pocket. I found her. I searched the internet for her, found a picture of her husband. Her husband had his own business, and his phone was on the side of his truck. He had a construction business. I called that number, talked to her husband, and he threw under the bus immediately. He's like, yeah, she's a federal agent. I've told her this is crazy, that she shouldn't be doing this. It just seems not legit to me. He's like, we're getting these things in all the... Anyways, they were all going to Russia. And this was pre-Ukraine. But that's just one example. But they have these people, they hire people all the time. And what they do, I forget what they call it, but the box comes in. They always order it overnight shipping. The box come in, and then they have a label. They never open the box. They put another label on it, and then they ship them out the same day. And it's just a way. And then when you get there, and I've busted several of them over the years. In fact, I've been working with the State Department. When I get one, now I pretty much know. And I got a number, I call up, and we set up a sting, because it's not usually just mine. There's other ones in there. And I guess some of these bigger outlets, I guess they're just, because nobody else seems to be doing anything about it, they're just writing it off.
Yeah.
Where me, I'm doing okay, but I can't be taking $5,000 and $10,000 hits multiple times. Plus, it just pisses me off. I don't like people to steal from me. So when it happens to me, it hasn't happened as much, because I've done 5 rings that I know of that I've busted so far, and I quite enjoy it. So,
right.
But
using that law enforcement background.
Yeah. Well, today, when I got those today, first thing I did, I don't have my phone with me because I didn't want it to go off, but all the dealers, because we know other dealers, I was like, hey, because it's funny, they'll go after specific. It's almost like they have, well, what was the movie where they're trying to steal Eleanor? They have a hit list on what car they need.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
But they have a hit list on what scope
They've got an order from
And it's
somebody
funny 'cause-
they want to fill.
And nothing against women, but women don't. Around Christmas time, I'll get some orders from women. Most of the time, buying for their husbands. Every once in a while, a woman buys, but 98% of the time, it's guys buying.
Yeah.
All of a sudden today, I'm getting all these orders from women. They're all failing, but it's all for the same scope. They're all from all over, and they're real people.
Yeah.
But they've had their identity stolen.
Right.
And I try to contact them. It's crazy. I contact the bank and I'm like, hey, this person's had the banks won't do anything about it. They're like, if you believe it's fraud, just don't ship it. I'm like, yeah, I don't care about that. This woman, somebody has her card and her name, but the banks don't care because when they prove it's fraud, if people don't know, the store pays for it. I pay for it. If I ship it out and it doesn't go, the credit card company doesn't pay for it.
Yeah.
She doesn't pay for it. I pay for it.
Right.
And it's crazy that the banks, but since they don't lose anything, they have no interest in fixing it. So
Are you completely doing civilian sales, or do you have any like law enforcement?
I've sold some government. I do some government sales, but I mostly focus on. I came out of government work and I tried to just get away from it. And again, I mean, it's a business now, and I'm the sole provider at my house now, and I got young kids, but I don't know, man. I do it because I like it.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to be more business-like because I'm hoping my boy will take over for me at some point. Of course, he's only 9, so who knows what he'll do.
Mhm.
Hell, my daughter might do it. Right now, she has no interest in it, but everything changes. But she doesn't seem to be interested. But that's my long-term goal is, hopefully he'll take over the family.
It'll
business.
happen. He enjoys it. He's around it.
You never know what. I mean, hell, when I was his age, it's funny. They got videos of me. Don't kill that whatever it was, squirrel, Daddy. Really, because that's bad.
Dude, I saw.
And look where we are. How things have changed. And my brother was the exact opposite. He was like bloodthirsty, and now he could care less. He wants to play with cars and do that kind of stuff.
So let's switch gears because I definitely want to get to this subject. You've developed some really interesting techniques in the way you hunt. So tell us a little bit about what you do in the field, and we've all seen the videos of shooting out of trucks and vehicles and different extent.
So I didn't come up with that, but as you know, hogs are extremely smart. I think they came out with a thing. Humans, and I might have it a little bit off, but it was humans, I think dolphins, apes, and then pigs. And then we have stupid people, you have stupid pigs. But on average, that's how it falls. So they're always adapting. So we're always switching up ways. But I was introduced to the side-by-side thing by the farmer that I hunt with. He doesn't like to be on video, so you hardly ever see him in the video. He lets me film, but he doesn't want all the attention or any of that stuff. There was other people that did some videos on it, but as far as I can tell, this guy was really the guy that kind of pioneered this. And the guy, he just has huge, awesome hand-eye coordination. He could do it by himself. He drives and he shoots. And every single shot just about is an ear hole shot. I don't know how he does it.
So this is the guy that drives and you see
The farmer.
in the video.
Yeah, the farmer. Okay. He's amazing. But anyways, he perfected that tech. But it doesn't work everywhere.
Yeah.
Now, it would work great out here in these fields. But some places, if there's trees, it has to be a flat.
Yeah.
He works in an area where it's mostly dairies. That's kind of what he does.
Yeah.
And there's no cattle out in the fields. It's just crop. And he can go out there. And it works great for that. But it doesn't translate to everywhere. But that is one way. And then we've used, I've done videos on using suppressors. One, like last night when you're all lined up, you don't want everybody blasting. I didn't use suppressors. But coyote hunting or whatever I was doing, if you shot 2 or 3 shots, you were shooting a lot. Now we're dumping magazines because there's 30 of them out there, and they're tough. But I've also learned that I can steer the pigs from the sound of the impact and steer them out into the field and do more. Now that doesn't work with multiple people again, but when I'm by myself, I can actually steer the pigs. And it's little techniques like that you learn over time. The electric bikes, hunting on them. I keep the pressure in the daytime. They're back in the thick stuff. I go keep them where they don't feel safe out there. So they've got to where they don't feel safe in the fields and they'll hit at the edge. But then I started hitting them there and they have no place to go, so they just do whatever.
Yeah.
Hunting out of vehicles, a lot of people get mad at me for that. I tell people all the time, unless it's a single boar that you can kill, don't shoot from your vehicle, because I am vehicle based. I hunt very large properties. We're talking tens and tens of thousands of acres. And if you don't cover it in a vehicle, you're not going to cover it.
Right.
And most times the hogs do not pay attention to a vehicle, because most of these, there's either county roads running through them or like these dairies, they're 24/7 operations.
Yep.
There is always somebody driving a side-by-side, a tractor, or a truck, and they don't even see the pigs at nighttime because they don't have night vision. So you can drive, they might look at you, the pigs might stop and look at you, because I'm looking at them with night vision or thermal, and they kind of look, and if you drive on by, they'll go right by. So, but if you stop and shoot at them, then they start to learn. So this one big ranch I was working, I have that thermal on top of the pan tilt zoom, and I started seeing pigs running it at like 700-800 yards away before they could even see me. They were hearing the vehicle crunch the gravel.
Yeah.
I'm like, what is going on out here? Well, they had hired a diesel mechanic, and he ate the pigs, and they let him shoot the pigs. Well, he was older. He didn't like getting out of the vehicle. So what he was doing, he would drive and he'd see a group. He'd shoot one out of the group, go get it, and he was training them to run from the vehicle. So all of a sudden, it was almost, that's where the electric bikes came in. He had trained them so much, I had to find a different way to get up on them. And so I got the electric bikes, and that's what started all that. Now they've told him, hey, what you have to do, you drive about 100 yards. By the time you drive 100 yards, get out of your vehicle and walk back, they forgot. Even though they're smart, they forgot. They don't relate the shots coming from that vehicle.
Yeah.
And that's all you have to do. Or if you spot them soon enough, you stop before you get to them. But you never want to stop right there when they're looking at it. And most of the time I can spot them before I get to them. But if I don't, I come around the corner and they're right there, just keep on driving. Another thing I've learned is I leave my vehicle running. If you kill it, I saw that last night. We killed the vehicle.
Yep.
And they hear that. And that one boar we had that kind of went off in the grass, if the tone stays the same, but they kind of pick up on it, that when it dies like that, I need to get out of here.
Yeah. You were talking yesterday about the vehicle mounted thermal and how that changed everything for you. Talk a little bit about that.
The pan tilt zoom, like we're saying, I would give up everything that I own hunting wise, night vision hunting wise, except for the scope, because I need the scopes to shoot.
Yep.
Right.
But the pan tilt zoom, for the way that I hunt, covering areas, is if it breaks or I don't have it, I'll just stay home, because I'm so spoiled. It'll be the drones are nice. I see a lot of people using drones, and they're very effective. The farmer I hunt with, we cover that. Not only do we cover his property, we cover all his buddies' properties. Now it's like a 5-county area. It's a huge area that we're covering.
Wow.
And it would be impossible to do without a drone. But he also has the PTZ, same one I have, on top, and you can drive down the road and scan. You're not supposed to. It says specifically not, but everybody's going to do it. But for their liability, you're not supposed to drive down a public roadway with the pan tilt zoom on. If you do, it's on your own. I do it. You're not supposed to do it. But like here, the hedgerows, they're so tall in the summertime, the fences, you can see over that.
Mm-hmm.
You can roll up your windows and be in nice air conditioning while the mosquitoes are outside.
Yeah.
In the wintertime when it's freezing cold, I used to be hanging out the window with my monocular, because thermal doesn't see through glass. On top of that, it's up on the vehicle. Just that few extra feet. I hunt a property, a large cattle ranch up by Mount Pleasant. The natural terrain out there, it's almost like a golf course. These not big hills, little hills. We're talking about hills that'll go up maybe to the top of that sofa. But the pigs get in between, and when you're looking from ground level with your monocular, they don't exist.
Yeah.
But just having it up that little extra high, you see them. And it's just being able to look behind me and turn it. It's, to me, it's a game changer. And I've explained it to people, and no matter how much I say it, I don't think people grasp the concept until they actually use it.
Right.
And when they use it, and I told y'all the first time I used one, I wasn't impressed, but I wasn't running it. I was a passenger in the vehicle. They kept telling me to try it and how awesome it was, and I'm like, whatever. And then they finally sent me one because they wanted me to use it. And once I got it, I mean, there's been I've had one on my vehicle constantly.
And you leave it up there full time. You don't take it down, right?
I leave mine up there full time just to see how long they'll last.
Yeah.
Most people, I take it off. Mine's hard mounted. So mine is actually.
Otherwise, it's magnet.
It comes with magnets. It comes with suction cups. I hard mount mine because I leave it up there all the time. And if somebody's going to steal it, at least they got to work for it.
Right.
But I want to know how long they're going to last. So, the average customer that I sell it to, or the average guy I know, they put it on there when they're hunting and then they take it off. I'm seeing how long this particular one, and so far it's held up very, very well. Now, the ones I've had prior to it look more like a Go Light.
Yeah.
This one looks more like a R2D2. And so the other ones, I wasn't worried about at all, because you leave the Go Light up there, $100?
Yeah.
Nobody cares. And this one, I think people can kind of tell it's something different.
So what if somebody's going to contact you and buy one from your store? What are they looking at investment wise?
Those are $64.99, so $65,
Okay.
which is not. I mean, that's a lot of money.
It's money,
But
I mean,
a
few years ago, that's what you'd pay for a
Yeah.
stove.
Oh yeah. Well, there's other brands out there that are significantly more. And this one, they actually worked with me. I don't remember the Defiance. It's Dark 30 is the brand.
Yeah.
And they actually called me up, and I had versions of it there's a lot of, because there's other people that build them, and like a lot of people, it shows where you're looking. You wouldn't believe it, but it's easy to get turned around when you're looking. Am I looking behind me? Or it shows you exactly where you're looking. There's a bunch of features that were built into it. They didn't just put it out there. And then it comes with a screen. You can also, if you want, I've had people where I'm looking at the screen, they'll have their phones. You can connect through Wi-Fi, and you can be in the back seat and look at it on an iPad or
Joystick or remote, or
it has a remote that's battery powered.
Yeah.
Now, once the battery, it starts to lose a little connection, but it's double A's. It's not a weird battery size. I would prefer a wired one, because I'm afraid I'm going to lose
them. Yeah, that's the first thing I
but
thought of.
what I did is I have a specific spot that I put it every time I get out, and it's there. And then when you get back in, you instantly know, because the first thing I do is go to look with it. I mean, I'm using it constantly. So if I don't have it, I know that I don't have. I use it when I'm driving down the road and rainstorm or whatever. I can see so much farther, in fog, something like that on those.
Yeah.
I've used it before. It keeps me awake too. I'm constantly looking, and like when I'm driving maybe to go hunt sometimes I'm on the property, sometimes I have to drive to another property. I'm looking out in the fields. Again, you're not supposed to do it while you're driving, but so do that at your own risk. I'm not telling you to do it just for liability reasons.
Yeah.
But I'm looking to see if the pigs are moving, because we all know there are times where there's ranches that are covered up, and for whatever reason, the moons and stars align, the pigs just aren't moving that night. I can kind of get a feel, stuff's moving tonight or stuff's not moving.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to go either way, but at least it gives me an idea, and it keeps me I don't know, it keeps my mind going, where I don't get, because I'll stay up, sometimes all night. Rainstorm comes, put it right out the highway.
Yeah.
You can see deer. There's been a few people. It's surprising how many people walk down the middle of the road out in the middle of the country for, I don't know where they're coming from.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, it's a funny night vision story. I drive around blacked out. I was on a private ranch, private roads, not public roadways. This is so long ago, I was in my Land Cruiser, driving along, night vision, no thermal, pre-thermal. I'm looking, like, something in the road in front of me. Looks like a girl, and she's walking right down the middle of the road. That Land Cruiser is pretty quiet, so I'm creeping up behind, looking. It's a girl with long blonde hair down past her bottom, and I'm like, what in the hell? I'm on this big ranch, there's nobody that lives out
It's
here.
kind of spooky.
And so she's not reacting at all. I'm right behind her. Truck's running. I'm driving at her speed. Fine. Okay, here we go. I'm kind of, this is weird. So I get up and I go beside her, and she's on the passenger side. I get her right by the window. Windows are down. I'm looking at her. Of course, I got this helmet on. I'm totally blacked out. And she's walking. She doesn't panic. She doesn't. She just looks straight ahead. And now I'm freaked out.
Yeah.
And I wasn't even thinking about this poor woman.
Yeah.
You know, she's like, what in the hell is going on? But she was scared out of her mind. What had happened, she'd gotten in a fight with her boyfriend. It was a young girl, maybe early 20s. And he had just dumped her out in the middle of nowhere. And she didn't know where she was, didn't have a cell phone, didn't have anything.
Wow.
And I'm riding along looking at her with not me. And
She's thinking this is her worst nightmare.
I don't know how she did it. It had to be just like totally frozen with fear, because I would have just either looked or I would have bolted. She didn't do it. And finally, I realized what I'm doing. I'm like, oh no. I turned everything off, turned my lights off. I said, ma'am, are you okay? And she started crying. And I ended up taking her to her house. But it was one of those, for a minute there, I'm like, I finally saw a ghost.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what I was thinking. No, I think we've all seen some crazy stuff late at night in the dark, or at least we have, guiding.
UFOs?
Well, that and drug deals and teenagers parking and all kinds of stuff.
Oh, I saw that. I didn't know it was back in Dallas. I was working in Dallas, and we're out there, and there's pigs, but there's something, and this is early days of thermal, low resolution. Like, what the hell is that? And, you know, we can't figure it out because it's hot, and then it's cold, and then it's hot, and it's moving around, and like, what they're messing up, you know, whatever it is. I'm scared to shoot at the pigs because on their side. So we drive around, and dude, it's this guy that weighs like 120 pounds with his girlfriend that weighs like 320. They did not match at all on the hood of his truck.
Wow.
And they was so globbed together. I was like, oh my God. I turned on the light.
Yeah.
They jumped. I'm like, put your clothes on.
Right.
Well, I think with the detail that we have today, I think I would have known what it is, and I would have just left the field instead.
Exactly.
Because unfortunately, that's burned into my eyes now. And telling the story, I can see exactly what I saw that night. But UFOs. So when my wife bought me that PVS 14, probably Gen 2. You know, had to go out on a full moon night.
Right.
First time I go out, I go to my friend's ranch where I started pig hunting. And I get out there, and there's nice pecan orchards. And pecan orchards, if you've been in pecan orchards, they're awesome, at least modern pecan, because they place the trees evenly apart.
Mm-hmm.
You can range perfectly. And in November, when the pecans are falling, man, it's a magnet. Well, I get out there, and I'm looking, and there's a pyramid-looking thing at the end of the pecan orchard. And it's strobing, it's glowing, and it's flashing. What the? Turn on the night vision, and there's nothing there. I'm like, and it's there, and then it's not. I'm like, what the hell? And I have no experience with night vision at all at this point. I'm young, and being, you know, typical horror thriller, I'm like, I'm gonna go find out what the hell. So I'm sneaking between trees, getting closer. I get closer and closer, and man, it's pretty big. And what is this thing? And it turned out I was convinced it was some kind, because it made a perfect pyramid. They had burned brush. And it was the big pile of brush. It was just ashes. But the center of it was still hot. And so
it was pulsating.
Infrared heat.
Yeah.
And it was turning the ash pile, which was a big, huge ash pile, into a big glowing pyramid. So I went like 1,000 yards stalking up on what I thought. Right. I don't know why I was going to investigate a UFO anyway. I should have went the other way. But it was a burn pile. So.
Wow, we've covered some ground here.
Yeah, we have. So we're going to do it again tonight. We're going to go out night 2. We'll probably take a nap here in a little bit and get refreshed and go out tonight.
I forgot. Speaking of refresh, I brought you something. This is tequila.
Oh wow! Check this. Oh, that's your.
This is my tequila company.
I was going to ask you about that.
Anyway, I'm part owner. So that is Emerald Spear tequila. It's a sipping tequila. Now I'm not a big tequila connoisseur. I use it for I like margaritas. But it's really nice. I've had some friends that really like tequila, and but it's 99% Navy SEAL owned.
Nice.
So where it started is the team guy that started it, the only alcohol he can drink is tequila.
Yeah.
And so they formed this company. This is the first. That's actually a collector. That's one of the first runs. The actual production now has a nice little golf marker on it and a really pretty bottle, but that was the first limited edition run there. In Texas, You have to buy it online,
Okay.
but
That was my next question.
well, it's
Spec or-
based out of Coronado because they're
Yeah.
West Coast and East Coast guys now that do it. But number one, it's good, and number two, you're supporting all those guys because it's all team guys that are owners of that and will benefit from purchasing.
That's
So,
awesome.
So it's a little plug.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I love Blanco too. That's the only tequila I drink. So
Supposedly, I've had it. I'm not, like I said, I'm not a big tequila. The first time I tasted it, I'd had a bowl of ice cream, and he comes over to me. He's like, "I want you to be part of this," and I'm like, "Well, I don't like tequila." He's like, "You have to try," and it was smooth after ice cream. So I'm like, "Well, if it can be smooth after ice cream, then it's got to be
tequila
pretty
and ice
good."
cream. There you go. Well, man, Todd, we really, really appreciating the gift. I know it's a collector's item, but I'm kind of wanting to open it now.
No, you can open it.
Yeah, thank you for coming down, man. We can't thank you enough. You know, personally, I've watched your stuff for over a decade now, and you know, you're one of the true pioneers, especially here in Texas. And to be able to hunt with you last night and be around you and Angel, it was fun. It really was, and we appreciate you making the trip down. And hopefully, we get on them again tonight. And
I don't
end
think
on a
we'll
good
have a
note.
problem down
Yeah, they're everywhere. So
I think he said he's taking us to the rice tonight, or maybe I've never hunted a rice field, so it's going to be interesting.
yeah, we're gonna do rice.
A lot of mosquitoes, I bet.
Yeah,
As long as y'all are around, I'm okay.
Yeah.
we've got some big cornfields on the Brazos River that just literally were cut
I've killed some
yesterday.
stuff off the Brazos, maybe
Yeah.
not this far down.
Yeah.
Y'all get my leftovers that float downstream.
There you go.
Well, thanks a lot for sharing your story. Like Steve said, you've been in the industry for a very long time. There's a lot of people that look up to you.
Yep.
Whether you want to admit that or not, you're a pretty humble guy, but it's true. And certainly we wish you and your business all the best. We're glad to be associated with you now and to take advantage of your advice and counsel as we try and grow a brand and improve our products and offer what the customers want. So we're excited that you came down and excited for the friendship.
Yeah, now y'all got to come up with me.
Yep, there you go.
Do that. Absolutely.
A lot of family. All right, guys. Well, that wraps it up for episode 4. We're going to be back home in the mothership in Hammond for episode 5. Stay tuned. Thank you for watching.